Well, some very disturbing breaking news coming in from Akhilesh Yadav's Uttar Pradesh. It's another Nirbhaya redux, this time in the city of Lucknow. The body of a woman in her mid-20s was found badly mutilated, brutalized and murdered. Well, the girl who are identified earlier today worked in the PGI hospital in Lucknow. The woman was allegedly stripped and stabbed several times. There were stab wounds even on her private parts. The police say that after preliminary examination of the body, gruesome details have in fact emerged. Now, let us tell you that we in fact have visuals of that girl, but the visuals are so disturbing, they are so gory that we've decided not to put them on air. A panel of 6 doctors which examined the body have come out with astonishing revelations, reportedly confirming lacerations in the anal and abdominal areas. The panel, which includes forensic experts and a female doctor, also noted a total of 12 injuries, abrasions and contusions in the corpse, with maximum severity doled out in the abdomen. Now, according to reports, blunt objects were thrust into the body and the abuse continued despite the victim bleeding profusely.
डीजीपी साहब के द्वारा विलेज को गंभीरता से लेते हुए स्टेट फोरेंसिक साइंस लेबोरेटरी की एक टीम को वहां भेजा गया है। अभी पीएमआर के लिए उसको भेजा गया है। जो पीएमआर से रिजल्ट आएंगे तब बताया जाएगा कि इसमें क्या चीज़ें हुई हैं। प्रथम दृष्टया रेप और मर्डर की आशंका इसमें जताई जाएगी।
Well, the Akhilesh Yadav government has suspended some cops over the gang rape, but its leaders seem the least concerned over the deteriorating law and order situation in the state of Uttar Pradesh. In fact, top Samajwadi Party netas, including Party Supremo Mulayam Singh Yadav, seem the least bit apologetic about the rising crime against women in the state, even offering excuses and blaming the media for the same.
कदम तो यूपी में सबसे, आप यूपी की बात करें, 21 करोड़ की जनसंख्या है। अगर सबसे कम इस तरह के केस कहीं हैं हिंदुस्तान तो सबसे कम है यूपी में। कदम तो यूपी में सबसे, आप यूपी की बात करें, 21 करोड़ की जनसंख्या है। अगर सबसे कम इस तरह के केस कहीं हैं हिंदुस्तान तो सबसे कम है यूपी में।
लेकिन क्या सत्यता निकल रही है?
Well, a whole host of reactions coming in. I'm joined by Kavita Krishnan on the phone line for more on this. Kavita, absolutely shocking case that has emerged from Lucknow. A woman's body badly brutalized, mutilated, and some astonishing revelations. And the visuals, Kavita, I'm being told, are so disturbing at this point in time that we can't even air them despite blurring those visuals. Your first reaction?
Bilkul, that's exactly what I've been thinking also, that actually, what happened in Delhi in December 16th is actually not an isolated case, that's precisely what we've been saying, that this kind of horrendous violence in which it's a brutalization of the woman's body and it's a public humiliation of her, because I believe this woman in Lucknow was, stripped naked, she was paraded naked, and then she was gang raped and subjected to this awful violence.
Right.
So we have to understand that, we can, how do we begin to fight this?
Absolutely.
What appalls me is the response of the government of Uttar Pradesh and at the center also, quite frankly. All right. Because everybody seems to be interested in saying, oh, this is a common thing. You have Samajwadi Party leaders talking about how many states this kind of thing happens in, and saying, in that case, well, we don't really need to take responsibility. All right, it happens, that kind of thing. And at the same time, you have a prime minister who says, oh, don't politicize rape, which essentially is saying, talk about rape.
Right.
Talk about that. Now, I'm saying that we really need to start talking about this much more.
Absolutely.
We need to take responsibility. We need to allocate responsibility. We need to ask governments what they are doing.
Kavita, hold that thought, because political denial, political blame game and defiance is, of course, something that has continued to perpetrate crime. But I'd like to bring in Kiran Bedi at this point in time, who's also joining us live. Ms. Bedi, apathy continues with impunity. Whether it is the police system, whether it is the administrative system, there is absolutely, nowhere where we can fix accountability. There is nowhere where the buck really stops, which is why crimes continue like this.
That's right. It is irresponsibility. I think this government has absolutely failed to deliver. But then it is there secure because it just cannot be recalled. So they are staying put. They will stay put for the next 2.5 years and hoping that they will continue to survive from one crime to the other. All I can tell you is that this government is likely to be severely punished at the hustings 2 years from now. All I can say is that you can't change systems with the same tools. The same tools are already rustic. They don't seem to know what needs to be done. Just having a helpline in Lucknow or here and there doesn't mean that they're fighting against crimes against women. So it is a decline. It's a poor policing. It's poor community. It's poor panchayat systems. I think it's total poor governance. When policing fails, it's governance failure. So government must admit that it's failed, but the problem is what do you do with a failed government? You have to live with it. I would think that each member parliament elected in each constituency must take its responsibility for its own constituency and galvanize the people for a social revolution.
But Ms. Bedi, taking responsibility comes second. At this point in time, it seems like the Akhilesh Yadav government is in denial, because we had the party supremo Mulayam Singh Yadav in fact come out and saying that he's blaming the media for reporting such instances. He's not even apologetic. He's in fact offering excuses.
Which is why, because they are in denial, that is why these things continue to happen. And the more they happen, the more media attention they'll create. And the more people will get sick of them. But the point is, what do you do with the next 600 days or plus, which we have with them? 600 days means thousands of more rapes. So I think what is important is that each elected representative, members of the parliament, and they belong to now today, major party, the party in power. I think each member parliament should take responsibility for his or her own constituency and create a social revolution and a voice against it.
Well, absolutely. Social revolution, definitely the need of the hour. Karan Bedi, stay on with me. Kavita Krishnan is still with me. Kavita, time and time again, we've talked about the process of sensitizing, our police forces against crime against women. We've seen that, police inaction is also, in fact, partly to blame because they're just not sensitized to the cause.
No, it isn't a question of sensitization, I'm afraid, because, we have seen sensitization campaigns. They're usually a one-off thing, and they don't work. I'll put it very bluntly. What we need is not sensitization, but very stern accountability. Let me tell you that while you're talking about this one case, there is another case in Kanpur where a 14-year-old girl, a rape survivor, went to a police station, and the cops there told her to strip off and show them where she was raped, so that they could verify if it was raped or not. This has happened. This is also in today's papers. All right, in the same Uttar Pradesh. And this isn't the first such incident in UP. In Delhi, also similar incidents have happened. Now, my point is, why is it why is it accountability? Why is it that watcher and elite?
Right. Well, okay, we're going to try and re-establish that line with Kavita in just a bit, but a whole host of political reactions, in fact, coming in to this gruesome case that we're reporting. Let's listen into what people are saying.
उत्तर प्रदेश में बलात्कार के मामले लगातार बढ़ते जा रहे हैं। तमाम विरोध के बावजूद, तमाम चीजों के बावजूद ये रुक नहीं रही है।
प्रदेश सरकार को सख्त कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए। अब तो बहुत कड़ा कानून है, इसमें जो है जितनी कड़ी कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए और ये भी इंश्योर करना चाहिए साथ साथ दुरुपयोग ना भी होना चाहिए।
Well, Kavita Krishnan is still with us. Kavita, the panel of doctors which examined the body have come out with astonishing revelations on the nature of brutality that this woman was subjected to. They're confirming lacerations in the anal, abdominal areas. And I mean, that is really the big question. Also, the nature in which crime against women is being, is taking place, the brutality with which the body of this woman was mutilated also talks about, the psyche of people.
It does, and I'm afraid what I'd like to stress here, however, is that, we tend to express outrage only when brutality is of this magnitude and this obviousnness.
Right.
But the point is that every rape is brutal. Every rape is brutal, and until and unless we stop trivializing, you see, when we have a senior leader who says, "Oh, boys will be boys," and rapes happen by mistake, and this and that. You've had BJP leaders saying rapes happen by mistake. Samajwadi Party leaders saying boys will be boys about rape.
Right.
The point is that then you're trivializing rapes, and then if you ask them, they'll say about these one or two cases in which, the brutality is sort of undeniable. There they will say, "Oh, yes, we are outraging too, we want people hanged," and so on. The point is that doesn't help. What will help is, what is the only possible deterrence to this, is if we have, if we stop making excuses for every single act of violence against women, be it domestic violence, be it sexual violence or sexual harassment, be it molestation.
Absolutely. Kavita Krishnan, they're making the argument that all possible acts of violence against women need to be treated with the same amount of seriousness. I'm also being joined by Ranjana Kumari at this point in time. Ranjana, your first reaction to this absolutely shocking, gruesome case that has been reported from Lucknow?
Well, I think it's really shocking that every time women are being targeted, so many cases of rape happening in UP, and the UP administration is not waking up. On the contrary, of course, as Kavita said, all kinds of rape culture remarks have been made by the people. But what is very important is that the police's attitude towards all these crimes, they do not consider, UP police does not consider these crime as serious crime, and that is the reason their response system is not there. They are not able to really create a kind of messaging in the state that no violence against women will be tolerated, and that is why administration, government has failed in protecting the citizen of the state. And now this is extreme case, almost like Nirbhaya, that the woman has been brutalized by all these people. Besides creating the culture, they're also failing in administering the state. And that is one of the reasons that law and order situation is collapsed in UP. And that is why we are saying that it is very important that the central government should take cognizance and also should take action immediately to, suspend government and put it under the proper administrative system.
Well, absolutely. Ranjana Kumari, they're making the argument that the central government must in fact take cognizance of this particular matter. The apathy on the part of the government, the police administration continues. This crime against women continues to rise in Akhilesh's Uttar Pradesh with absolute impunity. This is met by political denial, by political defiance, and a party supremo Mulayam Singh Yadav, instead of taking accountability, fixing responsibility for crime against women, in fact coming out and lashing out at the media and blaming the media for highlighting these reports. Well, it's another day, another gang rape, and no action taken in Akhilesh's Uttar Pradesh. Well, we have some more breaking news coming in on this very story. The victim's post-mortem report is out, and the report says that excessive bleeding was the reason for the death of the 25-year-old girl. It was confirmed gang rape. There are marks through the body that confirm the victim was brutally thrashed on the head with sticks. At least 12 injuries have been detected on the body. Here's the worst part of the ordeal that she went through. Blunt objects were thrust into her abdominal and anal area. My colleague Amir Haq is now joining me live for more on this story. Amir, absolutely shocking details emerging from that post-mortem report. Where does the investigation stand as of now?
Well, absolutely, Rishika, and I've been to the scene of crime there yesterday, and it was absolutely shocking the way the blood was splattered all over the school compound. In fact, in pictures you can see that there is blood present on the ground opposite the school building, but there is blood just about everywhere. The woman, after being inflicted with such injuries, moved around after the assailants perhaps left her half dead. It was in fact a panel of 6 doctors which was constituted in the medical college here in Lucknow to conduct a post-mortem because of the nature of the crime. And in fact, the panel has noted about 12 injuries, abrasions and contusions on the dead body, and most of the injuries were in the abdominal area and below the abdominal area, and like you said, in wooden stick seems to have been inserted in the vaginal area and the anal area of the lady there. So definitely a very shocking details emerging out of the post-mortem report. The police still in the very preliminary stages of investigation. They haven't named the accused as yet. Although sources say, the police sources say that they've identified the woman. She worked in the postgraduate institute hospital, the Sanjay Gandhi PGI hospital on the Library Road, about 4 kilometers there from the scene of crime. But the police has not confirmed as yet on record to the media that they've identified the victim. So the investigations are in a very preliminary stage, and we still are all ears for the police to get some details on the kind of investigation that they've done on the case.
Right, investigations are at a preliminary stage, and as Amir is pointing out, details that 12 injuries have been detected on the body. And the worst part of the ordeal is that blunt objects were in fact thrust into her abdominal and anal area. Amir, just take us through the time frame of this incident. When exactly did this incident take place? When was it reported? And how quickly have the authorities in fact reacted to the complaints?
Well, there's no confirmation as to the exact time when this incident must have happened. But we spoke to the villagers there, the eyewitnesses who first saw the body lying there early on Thursday morning.
Right.
So they say this must have happened late on Wednesday night. Now, the shocking part is that on Thursday morning, former president of the US, Bill Clinton, had to visit that area, for a program.
Right.
And the entire zone was converted into a high security zone with maximum presence of police people there. So definitely, it is difficult to imagine how those assailants must have driven to that desolated area and into that primary school and have did all that violence over there.
Right.
And nobody, in fact, no policemen on patrol duty there detected this.
Right, so more shocking details there emerging. Amir, in fact, pointing out that former US President Bill Clinton was to visit the area. So already that area was in fact under high security alert, and despite all the security personnel being present there, a woman was subjected to the most unspeakable brutality. Amir, just take us through, who is actually responsible for this, for this crime. Have the police been able to nab anybody? Have there been any, suspected people who are perhaps accused of the crime?
Well, Rishika, the police do claim that they'll solve the case, they'll crack the case by this evening, and they'll also come up with the accused.
Right.
But they haven't been able to explain as to how they'll do that before even they've identified the lady there in question. Although our sources within the police department tell us that she has been identified as an assistant who used to work in the Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute Hospital. Right. On the Library Road, about 3 to 4 kilometers from the scene of crime, and that she lived in the same area itself. But the police sources have not confirmed it to us, and also we know that they haven't nailed the accused as yet. So we're still waiting to get a confirmation from the police as to whether they really make a headway in the case as yet.
Well, absolutely no headway in terms of the investigations as of now. Thanks, Amir, for joining us with that live report. We will, of course, keep coming back to you for more brutally gang raped, and subsequently she submitted to her injuries, a 25-year-old girl. While there were marks on her body that confirmed that the victim was subjected to the most unspeakable horror, the most unspeakable brutality. She was beaten with sticks. There were injury marks on her body. Blunt objects were thrust into her abdominal and anal area. And all of this as the administrative apathy continues and the Akhilesh Yadav government continues to sit in denial of the most horrific crimes that are being conducted on their watch.